Hello and welcome to Blockchain Gaming World Daily with me, John Jordan. So what we've got going on today is, it's I think, pretty big news, and it's definitely following in a trend that we are seeing. So if this was just like kind of the one big games company that was doing NFTs, and I think it might be fair to be a bit cautious about it. But this is the latest bit of news in what's been a pretty strong trend in 2021 about games companies really getting involved with blockchain. Obviously, they're not announcing blockchain games, most of them. They're kind of getting involved. They're kind of feeling their way, we could say. They're getting involved as kind of validators on various blockchains, Ubisoft in particular. We've seen Gameville, the South Korean company, invest in a crypto exchange. We're seeing VCs start to set up blockchain game specific funds, and particularly we've seen actually quite a lot of Japanese companies getting involved in various forms of blockchain. So kind of Square Enix is one of them, and this is Sega. So I guess it's easy to jump on headlines and go Sonic's coming to blockchain. Now you could read between the lines and and see that if you're very enthusiastic about this sort of thing. At this point, I would say probably not the case. I don't think these game companies immediately are going to put their most iconic kind of IP onto the blockchain. They may do. I don't know. That would be great, wouldn't it? But let's just kind of go through this kind of press release. So Sega. I guess we all know Sega from things like Sonic the Hedgehog. It's done a deal with this company, less well known, I guess generally, but well known in the blockchain space, Double Jump Tokyo. So Double Jump Tokyo has been around for kind of three or so years, and has done a few games. So did My Crypto Heroes was its big game, which is now becoming My Crypto Saga. Did a game with Brave Frontiers, which is a massive mobile game in Japan. That was sort of a kind of a sort of a reskin of My Crypto Heroes with these Brave Frontier kind of characters in there as well. Also has a platform, so it's working with some other companies with this blockchain games platform, so allowing people who don't really understand blockchain to kind of more easily kind of get grips with the technology. So they're a pretty big player in the blockchain game space, certainly in terms of Japan. So it makes sense that Sega has done a deal with them. Interestingly, that Sega has also invested in them. So Sega is actually known on a commercial basis as Sega Sammy. It's actually the combination of the Sega company and the Sammy company. So that's what that's about. So they've invested some money. Haven't said how much into Double Jump. The really interesting bit, I guess, is that we have the global development of NFT digital content utilizing blockchain technology. So we don't know what blockchains, we don't know what IP, but we do know it's coming this summer. So that's not that far away. I mean, quite what summer means. I don't know. Could be anything from June, July, August, I suppose. But I guess what I'm most interested in is not the fact that they're going to be releasing content related to classic IP. I mean, Sega has a lot of classic IP that isn't that well known. Like, I mean, a lot of the old arcade games and Golden Axe and kind of a lot of way back in the day stuff when Sega was a hardware company, and we had stuff like Mega Drive and things like that. There's kind of a lot of classic IP that no one really cares about. Let's put it that way. And Sega probably thinks a lot of this stuff is still popular today. Who knows? But what's interesting here is it says this will be the start of a sequential expansion. So clearly Sega is, like many games companies, interested in blockchain, thinks there may be something in there, doesn't want to dive straight in, wants to sort of try out with some kind of I guess sort of low-hanging fruit sort of stuff. Do people actually buy these things? How does the tech work? Does it go horribly wrong? Do we get sort of sued? What are the government regulations? There's quite a lot of regulations in Japan about crypto and blockchain. How can we kind of do this in a kind of sensible manner? But this is the start of a sequential expansion in a variety of content, including IP currently in development and new IP to be released in future. So this is not just Sega selling NFTs based on its old kind of games that no one's heard of and no one cares about anymore. This is stuff that they are putting into their roadmap going forward for new games. Now Sega releases a lot of games that we don't really ever see in the West. Just the Japanese market is so kind of different. It's so in some ways specialized. There's a lot of these kind of RPGs that don't really gain traction outside of Japan. It could be that sort of stuff. It's not necessarily that Sega's biggest games, global games, are going to get NFTs, but presumably if it goes well, they will do in the future. And this last sentence I think is also good. In the future, we will also explore ways to effectively utilize the NFT contents owned by users. So to me, this sort of thing is a bit like we've kind of seen with NFTs, a bit like sort of crypto art. So you basically own these NFTs, and they have sort of kind of serial numbers. They probably have rarity. They different pricing structures. There's maybe a sort of collectible sort of element here. We all know kind of Pokemon cards, very collectible. People like collecting things, so I think that's how they're going to start off. But then we're going to go into exploring ways to effectively utilize NFT content. So to me, that means we're going to start off with some collectibles, and then we're going to either release new NFTs, or the original kind of collectibles can be used in some way in a game. So or various games. So that's kind of where the interesting bit is. I don't think it's very kind of radical for any sort of digital company now to be releasing NFTs that people collect. I mean, that model's proven out. We just know that. We don't know. We don't think everything's going to work, but we know there's been enough kind of success stories from NBA Top Shot to some of the kind of tops collectible cards to their Street Fighter cards. Lots of different things. We know people want to collect stuff, and we know those things can get very expensive. And more importantly, there's a good liquidity model, and people like to collect them and trade them, and the price goes up or down. That's what you really want in a blockchain kind of project, in my opinion. But obviously, with a company like Sega, adding some sort of NFT cards, collectible cards to their portfolio is not very interesting. Sega is a games company, and we want to see the best games companies making, trying to make new blockchain games. So that's kind of what the exciting bit is. They're doing it in a very kind of nuanced way. They're not going to say we're going to make a blockchain game, but clearly we can see that's where it's going to be going. And once people own digital items and they know they have value, then how can they have more value? Well, you can put them in an experience where you gain more experience. You gain more. The players gain more enjoyment for owning these things, and they have more utility in the game, and they maybe can level up in the game. Certainly, My Crypto Heroes, the game from Double Jump, was a really good example of you could buy sort of cheap, low-level NFTs and then level them up. And as you level them up, obviously they got more expensive if you wanted to kind of then sell them. So there was a kind of mechanic for kind of earning money in the blockchain games, spending your time earning, leveling up, and then selling on these kind of higher level characters that had more value in the game because they were higher level. So that's really good to see. But at the moment, we're definitely in this kind of early phase where it's just interesting that kind of serious games companies, this is Sega Sammy's on the Tokyo Stock Exchange. It's not just a kind of a company that can just kind of do whatever it wants. It's under kind of regulation. It has to be careful with investors, all that sort of stuff. And they're sufficiently happy now to kind of dip their toe in the water and see how it goes from there. So that's really great to see. I just kind of think we'll see more and more of these companies. Maybe Western companies will be a bit slower. That's kind of my gut feeling. I think the ones in Asia, certainly the ones in kind of Korea, South Korea, Japan, and China. Although China has its own sort of problems around this area, but I expect to see certainly Korea and Japan. I expect to see that moving quite fast, and then that will obviously start to kind of encourage the Western, the North American and European companies to get involved as well. So anyway, thanks for watching. It is a good headline. It's a good video to be doing. That Sega is coming into blockchain, even at this kind of early stage. But thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel to get all the news, and see you again soon.